Hey, Swagrid here. So this is just going to be a semi-structured ramble about corner permutation and TTLL, because I think I realised something last night and it made me feel rather intelligent. A little bit of a 50 head moment, but either way, let's talk about it. So TTLL is a step in ZZCT, where you set up to basically having the last edge in slot with the rest of the corners oriented, but you often have the D layer corner on the U layer. So you have an algorithm called TTLL, where you permute the rest of everything, like that. So, you know, thinking about corner permutation, someone, Raven from the ZMS Discord, he made a collaboration method between ZZD and ZZCT. So CT is the one with TTLL, and ZZD is a method where you permute the corners while you insert the last slot. And there's 6 cases for every, like insert, because you have 6 different corner permutation cases, solved, diag, like solved as in like permuted, like GGEs, diag, and then the 4 different adjacent swaps, because it's last slot, you don't have, you can't AUF, so you have adjacent back, left, right, and front. And he made this collaboration, ZZDT, but something that interested me was that, you recognize TTLL by these different corner permutation sets, right? And I thought that if you force corner permutation, you would get double headlights or double bar, like this set, this case. But in DT, it forced front opposite. And, I thought, well, why wouldn't you? Because, you get like EPLL that has corner permutation solved and it looks like double headlights. So why not? And I was thinking about how we define corner permutation, right? So with last layer, corner permutation cannot be solved without, it cannot be changed with algs that are completely RU gen. Of course, this can be mirrored to like LU and stuff, but RU gen, so soon combos, cannot change corner permutation, and that's how 2 gen last layer works. But thinking about that, right, you could recognize it as just, oh, it's got the headlights, but oh, everything's solved, like the corners are solved. But, if I do this, they're not solved anymore. You can AUF them to be solved, but they're not solved like this. But they are permuted. So if we just redefine corner permutation as meaning, they're still permuted perfectly here. If we redefine corner permutation to being able to be solved 2 gen, RU gen. Also worth mentioning that this means that corner permutation is relative to the rest of the corners that are unsolved at the moment. Then we actually see that the only set of TTLL that follows those rules, the only set that can be solved completely RU gen, is front opposite. And Raven was trying to explain some of ZZDT to me because I was confused at first. And he got me to do like a sexy move on a cube and mentally twist the corners, right? So if we AUF this to TTLL recognition, and we mentally twist this corner, we'll have orange on the front, and it will leave us with double opposite. Not double opposite, sorry, front opposite. So that case just is the one where corner permutation is solved. And then I started to realize something. This case, the one that I previously thought corner permutation solved, well, I mean, none of these have the corners solved in their proper spots correctly permuted to them, but this one has these 3, permuted, solvable RU gen, and it also has to swap these 2. This isn't the CP solve that I thought it was, which is actually front op. This is a diag swap on steroids. It's swapping diagonal, not just on the top layer, but over 3 axes. It's opposite vertices, right? Opposite vertices. I remember Orchestra mentioning that when he was talking about one particular case which sucks. He was talking about why that case will always suck, and cube 3 behind it. I didn't quite understand it at the time, but it's because all you're doing with this case is swapping these 2 edges diagonally, because these 2 are solved, and swapping these 2 corners on the opposite vertices. This will always be a bad case, because it's so bad in terms of cube theory. So then I realized, if you think about this, front op is always the best, which makes sense because as corner permutation solved, it's like the 2 GLL of TTLL. And double bar is the worst, which makes sense because it's the diag swap on steroids. And then if the other 4 must be left to be adjacent swaps, so why is right opposite a little bit better? Well, because right opposite, when you mirror it, is the same as front opposite. It's basically pseudo corner permutation solved. If you do a Y rotation or a U and a D move, it's the same as front opposite. Which means that we have one case that's corner permutation solved, which is the best, a second case that's pseudo corner permutation solved, which is second best, the one at the bottom that's a diag swap on steroids that is probably the worst, and then the remaining three are all just assorted adjacent swaps. I mean, I don't actually know that they're adjacent swaps, but they have to be, you know. I can't sit down and explain how they would be, but they just process of elimination, they have to be. We have our CP solved and we have our diag, and that would be why out of double opposite and right bar and front bar, none of them stand out as being better than any other. It's because they're all adjacent swaps. And that's the kind of thing where when you realize it or going to sleep, you feel like a 50 head. Alright, ramble over.